Not very savvy about PR. What I do know is that it would be a disaster if we pulled out, and maybe we could fight the war a little harder, and not keep responding to Amnesty International
more
complaints.
Troops?
I don't think we even need more troops. I think we'd be a little less worried about civilian casualties. I mean, are the terrorists, are Islamic terrorists a more frightening enemy than the Nazi war machine? I don't think so. Fanatics can be stopped. Japanese kamikaze bombers, you can stop them by bombing their society. We killed more people in 2 nights over Hamburg than we have in the entire course of the Iraq War.
Who should we bomb in Iraq?
The insurgent forces. I mean, we did in Afghanistan last week hit Taliban, and what do we hear in the New York Times? Amnesty is crying because some civilians were hit. Well, that happens in a war, and I'd rather have their civilians die than our civilians die.
Do you believe that we win the war on terrorism by killing lots of Arabs, on international television? Do you think it helps the case?
I don't know if it needs to be on international television. It wasn't.
It is.
I don't think it makes a difference. I thought you were saying that was like one of the advantages. I don't think it needs to be on international television. But yes, you can destroy the fighting spirit of fanatics. We've done it before. We know how to do it. And it's not by fighting a clean little hygienic war.
What do we do with teenagers now who are, say, 15 years old now who want to grow up to be terrorists? How do we stop them from growing up to be terrorists? How do we win the war against terrorism, in other words?
I think I've just said it. You cannot fight a clean, hygienic war. I mean, I think we either have to get rid of this secular religion of FDR, or we have to get rid of the idea of a hygienic war, because that was not a clean, hygienic war, World War II. We killed a lot of civilians. A country that is worried about that, and I don't think it is, then we may as well give up right now.
Do you worry that killing civilians, even accidentally, as part of collateral damage or by the way things happen in war-friendly fire, that's going to encourage more young people to become enemies of the United States?
No, no, no,
Why
no,
not?
no. No, because you are destroying the society that has produced these monsters, and you win by killing the other side and not allowing your side to be killed. Withdrawal would be the worst thing we could do. We could definitely fight it a little bit harder. I mean, I understand why Rumsfeld wanted to have a small footprint. It is a little bit different since it wasn't a country attacking us. It is this ideology that is spread throughout the Middle East. Yeah, that makes it a lot trickier. But the small footprint didn't really work. Americans are getting fed up. Democracies don't like to go to war, so we're going to have to wrap it up quickly and just destroy the fighting spirit of the fanatics.
We've been in this war, as you know, since '03. How many years do you think this president or any president can prosecute a war of this kind with the American people's support?
Well, I mean, what's the alternative?
I'm just asking a political question. How long can he stay in the field with this war? How long can he keep it up?
I do not get the sense that your question, a long time, because I do not think the country is burning with anti-war fervor, except on your show. Every night we hear about Anna Nicole Smith and Paris Hilton.
Well, Paris Hilton says jailing and someone real has changed her, and she's ready to lead a simple life, free of naughty. Someone really changed.
You were the first person to mention those names on my show. You've just done it the first time. But you have just ended our virginity on those topics, and I don't thank you for bringing those names into my world.
This is big news in the rest of America. I do not believe Americans would be watching something so frivolous.
Let me go back to the news of the day.
If they were burning with rage.
And you've got an IQ of a high number. I want to ask you a high number IQ question. What does it mean? Now, you've said that George Voinovich is a crybaby. Dick Lugar is on the what?
Well, that was just a fact. He did cry on the Senate floor.
Do you believe? Are you concerned that come September, when we have this report from General Petraeus out of the field in Iraq on how we're doing, that if it's not a conclusively positive report, that a lot of people like Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe and John Sununu, Eastern Republicans, are going to split from the president? Are you concerned?
I'm not really one to add up votes or figure out who's going where or who's going to be voted out of office and become a former senator. I know Bush is going to become a former president. There's going to be a shakeup, and I hope it doesn't take another terrorist attack for Americans to realize the war on terrorism isn't going away just by saying, oh, it's just a bumper sticker. They're still coming at us.
Right. Let's take a look. Let's take a call right now. This is a video call. We're going to hear the person. People at home will actually see this person. It's Ben Marble from Long Beach, Mississippi. Let's listen.
Hello, my name is Ben Marble. I live in Long Beach, Mississippi. I would like to ask Ms. Coulter, how does she justify George W. Bush's continued refusal to secure our borders, and does she support his illegal alien amnesty bill?
Wow.
Well, you're obviously not a reader of AnnCoulter.com. I think in my life I've only written 3 columns on the same subject in a row, and that has been attacking President Bush over his amnesty bill. As he admitted today, it is an amnesty bill. I can't imagine.
He said that?
Today he did.
He said amnesty.
Today he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
Because, you know, there is this liberal impulse to ban certain words, to control the language, to control us. They've tried to ban the words illegal alien. They've tried to ban the words amnesty. It doesn't work. It's still in our hands.
I agree with you. You can't change the language and solve your problem. Apparently, Tony Snow corrected after the president and said he didn't mean to say amnesty, but you caught him, didn't you? Let me ask you, there's another question. Here's from a guy named Thomas Nass. He writes from Sacramento, California, and he's a man who served in World War II in the 5th Marine Division. Quote, if as General Petraeus, was that funny? Jesus. Anyway, as General Petraeus and the administration have argued that an Iraq pullback would increase the violence there, could this possibly mean that our troops are getting killed and maimed just to keep Iraqis from killing each other? That's his question.
I don't know what Petraeus meant.
Here's another one. Here's a question emailed to us from James Campbell from Fort Story, Virginia. Why do you and many other conservatives preach and demand that we stay in Iraq as long as it takes? Why not lead by example and go to your local recruiting office or perhaps send one of your loved ones as a good sergeant? P.S. In case you didn't know, the Army has increased the enlistment age, this guy's cruel, to 42.
For one thing, I would like our troops to win. So no, I don't think me being over there holding a tiny little gun is going to help.
You're not Private Benjamin, eh?
And point 2, I mean, all of this taunting about, oh, why don't you sign up? I don't think Democrats want to go down that line. Overwhelmingly, the troops are right-wingers who support the views of Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter, and that goes for military veterans as well, even the older ones who tend to get more liberal as they head towards Social Security.
Let me ask you about Fred Thompson, who's doing so well in the polls right now. He is just, for some reason, scooting up to almost to the top in many of the polls. Now, what do you make of Fred Thompson? Is he your idea of a conservative?
I think he was great in the hunt for Red October. And I think he's kind of our Obama. We're not happy with our top candidates, and so somebody else throws his hat in the ring, and everybody latches on to the new guy.
Do you like his hat?
I like his hat.
You like him? I'm trying to get a reading here. It's very important to hear from you.
No, I mean, I like Duncan Hunter, and other than that, I think...
what kind of a cage is that? What are you up to with Duncan Hunter here? What is this about?
No, I mean, I don't have to pick who the winner is going to be. I can say who I think the best candidate is. I think he's the best candidate,
let me ask you about public opinion now, and I'm worried about where the public knows anything about some of these issues. We've got a Newsweek poll that just came out. Now, maybe you agree with these percentages. 20% of the American people now believe that when we went into Iraq, we did find weapons of mass destruction.
We did. We didn't find stockpiles.
Okay. What do you mean by we found them, but we didn't find stockpiles?
We found all sorts of rice and, I mean, there are long lists of it. We expected to find huge stockpiles. We didn't find nukes, if that's what you're asking for.
No, it was chemical and biological.
Yeah, we found plenty of...
And you believe that met...
No, it's a fact.
So it met the standard that we set for going in, and we were right.
That wasn't my standard. That was your standard.
No, it was the president.